Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Four Words Podcast. My name is Aaron Doom Spikinator Harris, and I am joined by three terrible creatures of the void. I'm joined by Scott Haberdashing Sesserhan.
Yo!
Stephen Frostbite Allen.
Officially out of the void for 1 year.
Yes, Michael Asdrich Matthews.
Hey guys, a year.
A year. Yep. This makes 1 year of the podcast, 1 year of episodes.
Wow.
Our parents' podcast, thought we'd never make it, but, we stuck together through thick and thin. Things got rocky at sometimes, but we made it. It's been a whole year.
A year.
Especially when we talked about
after the counseling helped. And
Right. No, it did. It did. I know we had some issues. Doom especially had to leave a couple times. That was especially... Well, no, that wasn't the worst thing.
No, it's not the worst, that's for sure. That's definitely not the worst.
But anyways.
All right. So welcome to the stream live, guys. If you're joining us live, we go live every Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. EDT, soon be EST. At twitch.tv/2force podcast. So you can always join us live. If you're not, then thanks for listening. Download us on iTunes and all the different podcast mediums. So first off, let's dive right in. So we're going to go to PAX East. We've been talking about this a bit. Also, by the way, thanks. Just real quick, thanks to all the awesome people who have come on the show recently. We've had a lot of great interviews recently. Really ended the first year of the show real strong there. I mean, between High, Bloodwater, Quas, and Pseudonaut and stuff. I mean, just super awesome interviews.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to PAX East. So what we need from you is to show up here, twitch.tv/2force podcast on March 26th. We're going to have a stream-a-thon, and we'll be posting some more details on our Reddit /r/TForce Network. But we're going to have a stream-a-thon to prepare for PAX East. It is a fundraiser stream-a-thon to help get us to PAX. So show up. Look on Twitter for the hashtag TForce Rumble. For all the trash talk, we're going to be trash talking to each other. We're going to do a little inter-network tournament throughout it and stuff. So there'll be lots of trash talk leading up, and your donations during the stream will affect the games. So, thanks for showing up to that. And the other way you can support us is Patreon. I know we have it in the bumper and all that sort of stuff for the show, but please go to patreon.com/TForce Network and support us. If you can even give $1, thank you for anything you can give us. Everything helps, and it's going to help us go to PAX and have an awesome experience for you. And if you're going to PAX, please look us up because we'll be there. Like we said, 1 year of shows today, so thanks so much for a real strong year. We hope that we can continue coming strong for you and making it a good show that you enjoy listening to and watching. And please shoot us email, shoot us Twitch and or Twitter, tweet at us, and let us know what you think about the show. We really want your honest feedback. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? And how can we get better? So let us know and help us move the show forward.
Hey.
Also, just a couple thank yous real quick. Big, huge thank yous, not only to our recent guests, like we said, High, Bloodwater, Quas, Pseudonaut, but we also want to say a big thank you to Grey White. So when we were looking for...
Huge thank you.
Yeah. When we were looking for a producer, probably, was it about 2 months ago now?
So towards the end of last year, we were having a lot of different issues coming up with the production side of Four Words, and I gotta say, Grey White, ever since you've come on board, we've made great strides forward, and I think all of us here can appreciate it, and hopefully the listeners at home appreciate that we've been able to deliver more consistently, better quality, and just really have a better show production-wise all around.
Yeah. Yeah, much agreed. So thank you so much, Grey White, for your contribution and join the team and helping us out. And also, if you're watching us live, you'll notice we've we've updated our logos a bit here. If you check out the Twitter, we've got the updated logos on there and an awesome, sexy banner made by Nobody. So a big shout out to Nobody for making our sexy banner. But also, if you're watching live here, our new overlays. We have some new overlays here, and everything looks really nice and sexy, making the live experience a little nicer. So thank you so much, Mott. Mott is from the LCS Rundown, Mott Nagorum. So thanks so much, Mott, for helping us out with that and making the awesome overlays. And we'll jump on the news here, and we will hop on to the winners of our contests on what were your goals
for 2016.
So drum roll, please, gentlemen. Art of Top winner of the signed copy of Art of Top is Froggy the Hobo. Woo. So Froggy the Hobo will be reaching out to you. Thank you so much for listening to the show and setting in your goals. And you're going to get a signed copy of Art of Top as soon as it is available and printed. Pseudo is going to send it to us, and we're going to send it to you.
Yeah, and we should make that disclaimer here that he's still finishing up both of these books.
Yes.
So you might not get them right away.
Yeah, they still haven't gone to final print yet, so it's going to be a little bit.
Yeah, as soon as they do, we'll make sure to throw them in our news here too, so everyone else knows exactly when they can pick them up.
Yeah, and also you can watch the website theartofleague.net, and that is Pseudonaut's website that will release all that information as well. Also, the winner of the signed copy of the Art of Support, it is going to be, drumroll please, Zeb Hall. So Zeb Hall, or at Blue Flama, is the winner of the signed copy of Art of Support with Bloodwater. So thank you so much. His goal was long-term to get to Gold 5 by November and short-term to not type in chat.
There you go, Steve.
Good goals.
There you go.
That's for you.
I like it. It's short term. It's long term. It's good stuff.
It is. And from there, we'll hop into some of our discussion. So take it away, Haber.
Yeah, I got this. So we wanted to do, instead of a trinket tip this week, just a quick adjusting to the meta sort of deal.
The
tomato.
I've been playing since meta.
You say meta, I say the meta.
Tomato. Anyways, so we got a listener question in a while ago that said, hey, you guys kind of ragged on Strength of the Ages a while ago when you first did your Masteries episode.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
Okay. The only change they've made to it is increase the heal on it. The part that people take it for now, that was still the same. So
it is so
we can concede
good.
Oh my god, Doom!
So good.
We can admit that at the same time, like, that was still during the heyday of Thunderlord's Decree, as well as Fervor of the Battle.
Honestly,
that still applied to Jungle King.
I was gonna say, you mean League of Thunderlords,
right?
It was definitely something that we were aware of going into recording that episode. Certain masteries for that particular patch were very, very strong and very popular. Like, at that time, we pretty much just praised Thunderlords over and over again. And it's still a viable option even today. But like nowadays, especially in the jungle, Strength of the Ages has been a really popular pickup on a lot of junglers.
Amen.
Definitely don't want to say that it's crap anymore. Yeah, just keep in mind things change.
Remember, and it's always relative too. Like we were saying, Strength of the Ages relative to this unforgivingly broken mastery. Like, it was so bad in comparison to that mastery. So it wasn't terrible, like, just by itself as a mastery. However, in the shadow of Thunderlords, it was garbage. It was garbage.
Well,
So it's finally at a point where there's honestly, I would say there's 6 really good keystones, honestly, like tier 3 keystone masteries. So I think we're at a point now to where they're balanced very well.
I think we should probably say what Strength of the Ages is. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
it's at the bottom of the resolve tree. You can stack up to 300 permanent health by killing or being nearby when an allied champion kills a large monster or siege minion. You get 20 permanent health for a siege minion and 10 permanent health for each large or epic monster. And then after reaching the max, you'll heal 6% of your maximum health.
So basically, it's just like a nice source of like health, like that's pretty reliable for like a jungler to get if they take this mastery.
Yeah, it's super good sustain, and I think that certain champs that may have sustain issues throughout the game period, it works really well on, but it's also really nice for champs that maybe aren't technically like ability combo champs. And adding that little extra bit of tankiness and sustain to them is just that little push they need to just make them super strong. So it really is it's a super safe mastery. Like if you're kind of unsure what to play in the jungle, you really can't go wrong with it because it's going to help your sustain and tankiness throughout the game a lot. But it's, you know, I would say it's kind of probably one of the more universal masteries.
Right. I think we have a question later on, if we get to it today, about this mastery. So
yeah. So let's
we can leave it at that for now, maybe.
Yeah. So. Let's move on.
Let's hop into listener questions here. So we'll hop. Want to do the top one here, guys?
Yeah, let's just run them down.
All right. So Brandon, One Life to Live. He says, 1, how the hell am I supposed to use the Alt key to manually use abilities? I have a Lenovo computer keyboard, and my Alt key is a long stretch for my thumb. Do you guys bind the key to something else? Is there a key that might be easier for me? The reason I ask is because I just picked up Gragas in the jungle, and sometimes it's helpful when ganking to manually cast his ultimate. Here's another question, but we'll go on that one. So I know Asdrishan has talked about this a lot with his mouse that he has. So,
well, I personally, there's a couple different ways. I actually don't use my mouse to do that. Believe it or not, I keep my mouse relatively clean from macros because I just don't like them. However, I would suggest maybe using your ring finger if it's a long enough finger. Or, believe it or not, you can also use your pinky. I use my pinky more frequently when I'm using Control and Alt, to be honest, than I do my thumb, because the way that my hand is positioned, I don't know if you're watching live, but I mean it's positioned in a way that it's almost tilted. So I'm actually my pinky's actually close to Shift, Caps Lock, Z, X, and Alt at all times, so that I can really hit those buttons whenever I need to. So honestly, my best recommendation to you would be to learn to use your hand just in a different way and kind of maneuver it. I don't know if you guys played Smash Bros. Melee, but there's this hand technique called the claw.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's very similar. In League, a lot of League players have a similar hold to how they play the game, depending on what you use the most, so, and who you play.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember your Alt key doesn't have to be your Alt key, too. True. You can rebind that to anything that's more comfortable for you, whether it may be the T key, any of the number keys. It doesn't really matter. Whatever really works for you.
For me, what I did is I binded Alt to one of my mouse buttons that's next to my thumb.
Yeah.
So if I want to, and what I do is I set all of my stuff to SmartCast so that it just instacats automatically. But then if it's like a skill shot that I may need some lining up for, then I'll hit that thumb button and hold that thumb button down and hit the button so that I can better line it up and aim it. So, play with your key settings between your mouse and your keyboard. Maybe look into a new mouse or keyboard, or set everything to SmartCast. There's a lot of options.
I have a general piece of advice too about hitting keys, because I used to struggle with this same bind a lot. Like I would play like Kayle and Lissandra and like try and do low health things, and I would just like fail miserably.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just, at least on my keyboard, it felt really odd hitting Alt. I think I used probably my thumb trying to replicate it now, but what I've found helps is like you kind of get into a reflex of pre-planning. Like you're going into a fight now, like you're gonna probably self-cast your ultimate, like maybe like casually like stroll your finger over and hover it where you think you're gonna cast it, so that way like when that moment hits, you're ready to do it instead of like flipping your hand around to hit it.
That's a good tip. Yeah.
And
it stops you from having to like look down to see if your finger's in the right spot, which is never useful. Never take your eyes off of the screen. It's way worse.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think if you're having trouble, the easiest way to get around it is just having a good mouse that you can bind some macros to it.
It is
like I don't want to like ever advocate like you have to buy stuff to
I have buttons on my mouse. The only thing I use it for is showing that like level 5 mastery flare.
I use them for all of my I use them for leveling abilities, are the bottom ones. If I really, really need it in like a pinch, I have like an itch or something, and I'm like, I need to level. And I need my mouse for it. But mostly it's items in the 1-2s and slots, and pings and spammables like laugh, taunt, joke.
I used to have a Razer Naga like that, but I have like a Proteus Core Logitech one, and it has 2 really good side buttons that are really easy to reach.
Nice.
And I just bound those to Control and Alt.
Yep, that's what I did.
Simple as that for me.
Same here. I have a Logitech Daedalus Apex, and same sort of thing. I just bound Control and Alt to my thumb buttons.
So
we can transition to the next one.
Yeah, let's keep. I wanted to get to his next question. One Life to Live also writes, I'm very curious to know what settings you guys use, such as mouse and camera move speed. I would love for you to each include a different setting that you use and find helpful. I watched a YouTube video the other day, and he was talking about turning the music and ambience volume completely off, stating that it helps to hear different champion abilities. What are your thoughts?
100% agree.
Not wrong.
100%. If you want to play competitively, like to the point where every single factor is in your favor, then I 100% agree. Every distracting noise that the game can create to get you from missing something should be turned off. Yeah.
Well, at the same time, how many streamers do you watch that don't have some sort of music playing in the background?
Totally true, but like they're entertainers. They're not usually playing to be serious. Like they're if you're streaming, oftentimes you're playing.
But I mean, there's still a lot of high elo players.
Well, totally. Music, for example, helps you in a specific way, but ambient noises and like specific league music, if that's not the music you want to listen to, that's not helpful.
Yeah. The key thing I'd want to point out is that you can disable different things in the sound. Like you could say, I want to listen to my own music, but I still want to hear the sound of somebody casting their ultimate. So you can just leave the sound effects sound up and then just turn your league music down and then play like Spotify in the background.
Turning sound effects off is dumb. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying like ambient sounds, like river sounds and shit. Worthless.
I'll say for me, like this is like a quick rundown of my settings. Like I said, on my mouse, I have a Daedalus Apex, Control and Alt bound to the thumb mouse buttons. I keep everything on SmartCast. I have the League music off. I have ambient sounds turned down, but I have like in-game sounds turned up, pretty high, so I can hear that stuff. I turn off a lot of particle effects. Not a ton of them, but I turn them down so that I don't get as lost in a team fight. like I can better see like certain things sometimes. And I turn off shadows because I find that it makes it kind of hard to tell exactly where my champ is.
Oh my god, I use shadows so much now. Like I have to use shadows. It helps it helps me with seeing the angle for like Luxults and shit.
Okay. I could see that. I could see that the depth.
Exactly, for depth, because if you're looking at it the wrong way, the camera the wrong way, you're looking at the shadows the easiest way.
Yeah, and then
does everyone know about mouse acceleration?
I was gonna get to that part up here.
Yeah, I have my mouse speed set pretty high. But I also can toggle it on my mouse. I have a toggle button for the speed on my mouse. So and the camera acceleration though I have set pretty high, so I don't have to move my mouse a ton to get the camera to move. And I'll just hit spacebar if I'm losing the camera, real quick. And trying to think what else.
With this,
F for flash. F for flash.
Okay. We're not okay. I mean, for this part, like camera and mouse move speed, I really think it is just kind of personal. You'll see people that run at like 3000 DPI, 1200. It's kind of whatever. If you're used to moving around your hand a lot more or less.
You didn't even say a high DPI either. That's the best part.
I would say, to add on to that though, if you do have like a nice mouse, like a gaming mouse or something, you're better off usually changing the settings of the DPI. I think that's like dots
in the
inch.
Mouse rather than in the game.
Exactly. If you change it in the game, it's kind of like artificially forcing a movement, which is not as accurate. Whereas like you change the DPI, it's like actually tracking the movements a bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other thing about mouse acceleration, some people might have heard of this before.
I hate it.
Windows has a weird setting where like it's called mouse accelerations or like pointer precision. And basically, it's not really good for gaming. You can go into your mouse settings in the control panel and disable it, but it's also can lead to a little bit of inaccuracy in your mouse. So it's pretty easy to find out from like a Google search. You can just disable pointer precision.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you guys want to move on?
Yep.
Sure. All right. So Dave writes in saying, "Hey y'all, probably too late for this, but it was a good reason to write down these goals." Well, you weren't too late. You wrote in just in time. First, deward more. I haven't found a good metric yet, but I can at least compare it to my own past games. 2, don't chase and don't try to save lost cases. I've gotten pretty good at not doing this for a while, but I've started again. Could maybe generalize this to die less. And 3, trading stance to punish AD carry when they are CSing by either harass or landing all the CC.
This is some really good points here.
Yeah, no, they're very concise, very measurable.
I think the first point, I mean, all of these are really good. I think all of these are super important if you want to improve. The first one, though, I think we don't talk about that often.
Yeah.
A lot of times people talk about how important it is to ward and get vision on the map and, look at the mini map and stuff. But denying vision is also a huge part of the game, especially in like roles where you have a sweeper or like have pink wards. So like definitely if you can actually confirm that an area doesn't have vision, it allows you to make so many like smarter decisions that will actually help a lot.
Yeah, and there's certain champs that it's really good for to kind of practice that whole ideology more. Like a lot of assassins or like fiddlesticks, or
I was gonna say fiddle.
Yeah, or like a Rek'Sai and stuff like that. Like they really focus on coming out of nowhere. So I think that's a really good thing to focus on. And I know that I will take a sweeper a lot of the times in the jungle. It really depends on the game. I mean, really analyze every game for what it is. But I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
I know Asterishan's gonna like this. I can distinctly remember a game I was playing Lux where I was like on Skype with someone. I was like, look, I'm gonna win this team fight for us. And like all I did was drop a pink in this bush before a dragon spawned, and then like two people walked by the pit and they got hit by a Lux combo. And I was like, all right, I told you we'd win this team fight. It's just that easy.
It really is.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, 2 says don't chase and don't, or did we already kind of talk about that, or no? 2, don't chase and don't try to save lost causes. I had gotten pretty good at not doing this for a while and have started again. Could maybe generalize this to die less. Yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I keep a post-it note right next to my computer that says step 1, don't die. And I think that's a big thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this. I can't remember exactly when the last time was, but if you're chasing, you don't see anyone on the map, you generally have 5 seconds or until you run into a fog of war that you need to back off.
Yeah. And that's being fairly generous too, because like that's when you notice that that there's no enemy on the mini map. That's not assuming that you catch it as soon as it happens. That's with leniency. So be as soon as your map goes dark and you're in enemy territory, you should be on your way out.
Almost always when I look at I generally think just looking at someone's OPGG page is not. Like you can only see so much of the story as opposed to seeing them in the game. But when somebody tells me like, "Oh, I'm struggling to climb. Like I'm not sure what I could be doing better. Here's my OPGG." The first thing I look at is your death count. That's how I know. Like it tells me so much about your decision making and whether or not you're overextending or whether you're positioning properly. Like definitely something you want to work on if you're trying to get better at this game.
Remember that dying isn't always a bad thing, especially if you die for like the right causes or you learn a valuable lesson, yada yada yada. So I mean, do give yourself some leniency. I'm sure you've heard it from us. I give myself 4 to 5 deaths per game. Anything more than that, I kind of criticize myself rather heavily. Anything less than that, I'm fairly proud. But I mean, not dying at all isn't necessarily that good either, because that could mean that you're never with the team. You could be 1-0-2 and the enemy has 37 kills. Like, that
right?
means
Maybe you're
not there. What are you even
maybe
doing?
like Hai said, maybe you're just not taking those chances and not trying to make any sort of plays at all. So
that's just as debilitating as being a feeder. Honestly, it is. Not being a part of the team and giving money to the team are almost the exact same thing when you get down to the micro basic of it, which is what goal do we have to work with and what factors does that give us to, work with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's always the flip side of it. When people tell me it's like, I don't know what to do, like, and then I see like their KDA is not great, I'm like, you're probably dying too much. And then when they're like, well, I've got a great KDA, but I can't carry, I'm like, well, what are you doing with that KDA? Are you just like going back to base?
Sure, yeah.
Every time you get a kill, you back. Half health, full mana, doesn't matter. Back in.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about this third one? I don't know if we'll really have a whole lot of time to hit on it.
Trading is super important. I think it's it's like one of my favorite topics to talk about in League, and I will say totally think you should work on it. I think it's one of the biggest things that separates really experienced players from new players. But I think we've got so many questions here that we got to keep moving.
We've talked about it before. I think we may try to cover it again at some point too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Oliver Parks writes in saying, "Hi guys, thanks for all your replies to my previous emails. Your insight has been a huge help. Thought I would email you about my goals for this season because I thought my take on this might be slightly different than most. TLDR, it's not specifically to climb or reach a certain elo. Instead, it is to play the game in what it feels its intended form is. As a 5-man group with voice comms and the strategy synergy that comes with dynamic queue. Have installed Discord and hope to eventually find the like-minded people on EU to group with." He says he could talk about this all day, but you guys, we get the picture. Thank you for the compliments. We really do appreciate it, man.
I think they're doing a lot of cool things this season in terms of, you can pick your roles before champ select, stuff like that. But I guess one of the things that doesn't always get a lot of attention is that sadly the ranked 5s mode is kind of put on hiatus for 2016.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm kind of sad about that too. But I mean, it gives people something more to focus on, and maybe they're gonna really overhaul how like the team system works. Come next year
At some point.
hopefully.
But I mean, like, at least the plus side is you don't have a specific team, but the plus side is you don't have a specific team. You can still group as 5 and go into a dynamic queue. And, he's right. It is meant to be played with 5 people, whether it is, on the same call or not. It is a team game.
And those are often like the most satisfying wins, like when you get them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It really is the most fun to play with other people. So that's great.
Yeah. Thanks for writing in, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
All right, Aaron, you want to take this one?
From Sam G. Esteemed gentlemen.
Let us fight like gentlemen.
So I just wanted to say thanks for 4 words. Thank you for you. I am a new player to League. I've been playing since January, and I'm level 20 now. Congrats. Clearly, I am in the category of newest of noobs. You are not the newest of noobs.
No,
the greenest of greenhorns, the freshest of freshmen,
Well, the guy that just
tenderest
signed
of
up 10
tenderfoots.
minutes ago is the newest.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, but like you are among the freshest meat. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I just want to say that I enjoy your podcast very much. I'm still trying to find my own play style, and I've been trying out different roles and characters, and all your champion selects and discussions have really, and thanks for being a Patreon supporter, by the way, have really helped me gain better understanding of the game, the mindset behind different roles and play styles. All of this to say I couldn't help, I couldn't keep listening and not let you know that you are doing great work, and please keep it up. Thank you. My goal for this year is to try 50 champions by the end of July. That's about 2 champions a week. I think this is one of the best ways for me to just experience different aspects of the game. By playing these different champs, I will not only have a better idea for how to play against them when I see them, but I'll also know how they fight, how they dynamic would work when they're on my team. Keep up the great work, and anyone who says anything bad against it is probably a Teemo player, so don't listen to them.
Just play Lux.
Filthy Teemos.
Play Lux, and I'll be proud of you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
It's all right if you guys play Teemo.
I've personally, I have flopped between roles a lot, and I've played a lot of champs, and I've had certain ones where, this is my main right now, and this is my main right now, and stuff like that. I like to play a lot of different champs too, so I feel you there. You eventually kind of start to get what you like. Everyone who knows me that plays with me knows that I like anyone who can hard engage. Anyone that I can just dive right in the fray and just start fucking shit up. That's me. So yes.
Well, I mean, honestly, like when I was at that point too, when I was first starting, still leveling up, my favorite thing during the week was when the new free champ rotation would come out. And I'd sit down and like through the course of the week, I'd make sure I played every single one of those champions that was on there just to, have a test of, okay, this is what they do. This is awesome. Because I mean, you got to play them for free then. So yeah, it's really great to be able to play a lot of different champions to really find what your niche is and what you like doing, like Doom said.
Yeah, I can't stress this enough. Like, it while it is a good thing to like pick a champion pool, like find what you're comfortable on and what you like playing. If you're like really like trying to try hard and improve, if you're only level 20, like you still have to learn what each of the champions' strengths and weaknesses are, and like one of the best ways to do that, and also to find out what champions fit your playstyle, is just to try a whole bunch of them. So you're doing the right thing. Like just keep trying them out, find what you like, and then maybe one day you'll find out, what champions really resonate with you.
Yeah, don't take 4 years to find your boo, because like that's some shit, man.
That's a good one.
And then leave her by the wayside and name your cat Callista.
I'm not gonna name that. She doesn't look like a Lux. I mean, she doesn't even act like a Lux. She's not girly. She's more like, whatever.
Yeah, no, that's fair. When I see Cat, I see someone that wants to rip your soul out.
Well,
absolutely.
Honestly, like, think about it. That is exactly Callista. Like,
that's Cats.
Yeah, and Cats
my wife
too.
is a redhead. I mean,
okay.
What?
redheads don't have souls. They take your souls and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move on. From Dangerous GG. Hey guys, really love the podcast. You guys answered one of my questions in one of the first mailbag episodes you did about a year ago. I sent this question to Trinity Force as well, as it might not fit in 4 words. Anyway, I have a question that I can't find a definitive answer for. I posted on Reddit and just got a few responses. In Season 6, I have noticed a lot of high elo and pro players using scaling health seals over armor seals on most junglers. Sometimes even switching out 1 quint for a quint of armor, 4.3 armor, in order to be able to run the scaling health. My question is it better to run scaling health seals on junglers that can do a healthy first clear without 9 armor seals? Examples being Nidalee, Kindred, Graves, Gragas. That combined with the SOA is a potential seal of armor. Strength of the ages. Potential 500 free health. I'll reread that sentence again. That combined with Strength of the Ages is a potential 500 free health. On the other hand, since most junglers are running Strength of the Ages, wouldn't it be more beneficial to combine that 300 health with resistances like scaling armor and magic resist? Would stacking the health still outweigh the resistances? All this assuming, of course, you are not planning on going full tank. This usually comes with no resistance, runes, going scaling health, then all CDR cliffs. The way I see it is... Should I finish? He just talks about his opinion. The way I see it is that it's better to stack health and have CDR from runes than be able to itemize properly throughout the match, since junglers never face one consistent type of damage.
I'm going to instantly throw this out there. Build for the game you're playing. Don't stick with like a straight up build or anything like that. You need to build for the game that you're playing. Now,
that being said, the scaling health then would be more universal.
The scaling health is going to be more universal, but however, if you're a jungler, you really need that armor.
Well, this is I actually wanted to look this up here, and I went back to some of my spreadsheets that I did for armor penetration, armor reduction sort of deal. So, like starting level 1, where you're going to get the most out of that bonus 9 armor from runes. Most people will get about 5% damage reduction overall from that 9 armor. So
that's significant.
But that's 5% damage reduction versus if you had 5% more health. Which at level 1 for most people would be roughly around 25 to 30 health at max.
That's nothing.
So for scaling health, you're
reducing
about the
the damage by like 1 or 2, maybe 3 points when you go armor. However, when you're going health, it's giving you like far more than that in effective health that you can use just in general. So it's about the comparison of damage that you're reducing as to health that you're getting, if that makes sense. And you're reducing less damage than health that you're getting when you're running the scaling health seals, especially when you clear quickly. Because if you clear quickly, that scaling health, you find utilization of it faster. So faster clears are definitely going to have beneficial time for this. Now, my recommendation is if you're new to jungling, do not run scaling health seals, because you're just not going to understand how to clear quick enough. You're not going to know how to make the most of your routes and how to get experience quickly so that you can make use of those scalings. You'll be behind almost 2 levels, I guarantee you, consistently throughout the game. However, if you are good at jungling and you're trying to adapt to the meta, scaling health seals have been the meta since last season. It's not just season 6. It's been all of last season as well. So scaling health seals have been quite important for a while now, and I would recommend you use them and get used to them.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's basically my rundown for it. Is if you're new to jungle, run armor. If you're not and you know what you're doing and how to clear quick, then run that effective health.
Well, I mean, if you are new, the scaling health's going to be more standard throughout the different roles anyways.
Yeah, but like I said, you're just not getting as much from it.
Yeah, I understand.
And you're not understanding what it's doing for you. So initially,
I will say the armor quints probably aren't a good idea. Quints for For junglers, your quints should almost always be either AP, AD,
for one
or attack speed.
I thought it was more. That sounds like too little. Yeah, I agree. I think
that sounds honestly, like too much.
I think it's either you should either run attack speed or percent health. Personally, I think percent health quints are awesome. They're a lot.
Yeah.
I have a page with them. Yeah, I use it like on my super tanky people.
I also like movement speed. I love movement speed.
True.
Movement speed quints are my favorite quints.
Yeah, it really depends on who you're running for quints.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think it kind of comes down to you and how you play. Like, test out different rune pages and different mastery pages on different champs and see what works best for you. Like a lot of people, I'll say, for example, like a lot of people right now run Thunderlords are starting to run like Strength of the Ages on a lot of junglers. But like certain champs like Wukong, I still run Thunderlords on because it's just, E attack Q and boom, you just chunk them for their health. So, really, really look at each champ and, whatever feels best to you, I say do it.
Yeah, I was looking at quints. It is 4.3 armor. That's actually pretty efficient.
It is.
So, just a thought here.
All right. Well, move on from there. Tristan. I peaked at Gold 2 last season. I'm looking to hit Plat 5 this season. I'm also looking to become a better shot caller in solo queue. Figuring out if a team is just holding up in their base, looking for our team to dive and make a mistake, and taking what we can get objective-wise, jungle camps, drag, baron, etc. Also, more wards.
You want to become a better shot caller in solo queue. Might I recommend familiarizing yourself with smart pings?
Yeah.
Yep. Pings and be decisive, because people are more likely to follow you if you're very decisive in your actions.
2 pings for Baron is more powerful than 1 ping for Baron.
Absolutely
true.
I would also say go so far as to duo, and I mean it's not solo, but like if you're shot calling and somebody is consistently following you, that is just, it almost guarantees that your team will back you up, especially if you know that you're duoing and you're just like, hey, we should go to Dragon, and they're like, yeah, let's go to Dragon. It's hard to deny 2 people telling your team, let's go to Dragon.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, you're just like, okay, I guess we're going to Dragon. Like that's what I think every time 2 people say, hey, let's go to Dragon. I don't fucking question it, I just do it.
Yeah, I mean the main thing, I guess, shot calling in solo queue, per se, is don't be a keyboard warrior, because that doesn't help anyone, and use your smart pings, be decisive, and if people aren't following you in your decisiveness and it's a bad idea without the rest of your team, then you need to immediately just abandon that idea and go on. If you've got that one guy who's like, no, I'm just going to AFK farm, I know Haber's definitely given this, and we, as a whole have given this tip a lot, which is go hang out with them. If they're not going to group up with you guys group up with them.
Well,
and
I mean, you can
see what happens.
There's different ways of dealing with that specific situation, in other ways than just grouping. But yeah, I mean, just think about the different ways that you can make the most of a situation, rather than defaulting to what seems to work most often. Because if your team isn't willing to do that, then what are you going to do? You can't force them. Sometimes you just got to shot call in a different way.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to move into this next question, or this next submission from, I think it's Rollins. Hi, I'm Rollins from Manila in the Philippines. Oh, wow.
Nice.
Dang.
That's awesome.
Cool. I'm a huge fan of the T-Force podcast and regularly listen in to level up my game. So here's my question. How can an experienced player approach the game from a fresh perspective in order to improve their fundamentals? This season, I felt that my gameplay is not consistent enough. I have a good sense of the game to call the shots for the team. However, on an individual tactical level, I tend to make glaringly bad decisions that end up causing me to die and fall behind. I get regularly outplayed or beaten by players below my rank, which is currently Plat 5. Either two things happen to me in lane. Either I manage to an early win with jungler help, but fail to snowball, or I just get plain wrecked. I'm a mid main that loves long range poke champions, and I have loads of troubles with assassins, so I usually ban out LeBlanc and Zed in champion select. All right, so let's get to that second part after, because that's almost like a separate question. But I guess the first thing let's talk about is...
I actually think that they're very specifically orientated around each other.
Okay.
Both questions. And I guess I should explain in why. How can an experienced player approach the game from a fresh perspective in order to improve their fundamentals? And it sounds like this player specifically is struggling with getting outplayed by his opponents in lane. So how does somebody who is experienced with the game but struggles in lane find a better way to improve themselves? And I actually think those are very, very correlated within each other.
I really just think you fell into a rut, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got comfortable with where you were and probably stopped paying attention as much to what was going on around you that got you up to Plat 5. So I think we've said this before. First of all, you need to recognize that you are making those mistakes and either have someone else look at it or take a look at your games yourself and find out exactly what's going wrong in those trades, those matchups, whatever decisions that you feel, went wrong in that game, to really pin down what mechanics aren't working out for you.
And harp the fuck on it. Like, every single nuance. Like, if like you feel like even that split-second hesitation was what cost you that entire trade, because it will. That split second is what cost you that auto attack. It cost you the Lux passive proc. It cost you the ignite kill. Literally, it just cost you that 300 gold. I've had it happen a gajillion times, so I know what you feel. But you have to harp on it every single time you make that mistake. You got to be like, fucking A, that was what cost it. And like every single one of them, because they are, all of them together are what cost you that ultimate failure in lane. Not one in specific, all of them together. So if you harp on it consistently, every single one of them, you iron yourself into something that's just much finer than, what you can by yourself if you're looking at specific things.
Exactly. You do need to harp on them, and really you kind of want to dissect them and take them on, one by one. Like, you're going to have, if you look at a replay of your game and you really thoroughly analyze your play, you'll find dozens of mistakes. And that's maybe what happened when you said, I make tons of glaringly bad decisions that end up causing me to die and fall behind. Try and find a few sticking points that really stick out. I often get caught, before this dragon fight, before this team fight, or maybe I overextend when they hit this power spike, or maybe I'm just not getting enough CS by this time. Find a particular part. And I've heard this expression used before, make a mini game of it. Your next few games, just focus on improving that point, and then once that starts to show improvement, move on to the next thing.
I have a question, Frost. Yeah. Is that something that you specifically struggle with? And from experience?
I would say that I think it's something that I've definitely, the way I've looked at it, if I were to look at my games, I make a lot of mistakes, so I try and isolate what I would need to work on. So I would say it certainly applies to me.
I just know. Oh yeah. I'm not calling you out for it. I'm just saying that's something you'll notice in players that have played the game for a while. We can see what our mistake is and say, this is something that has been affecting me for a very long time. I'm sure you can do that. You just need to be very introspective about specific things, and like we said, harp on it to the point where you're like, this is my problem. This is what I do wrong in the game, and this is what I need to fix because this is my issue. And we each have our own. Frost has his, I have mine. We each have our own issues that we have to work on in the game. And you're not going to know that until you beat every single one into the ground, until you find the problem.
Yeah, I mean, you said later on in your email that you have lots of trouble with assassins like LeBlanc and Zed. Either try playing them or leave them up. Mm-hmm. And don't ban them. See what happens. Learn to play with that. So that's not your weakness.
Yeah, rather than trying to put a Band-Aid on that handicap, just, try to work instead to work through that. And, you know, I'll say, for example, I used to play a ton of top lane. I still play a decent amount of top lane, but one champ I always struggled against was Darius back in the day when he was like just a absolute monster. I mean, he's a monster now again, but he like when he was just oppressive. And I played Aurelia and Wukong a lot top, and neither of them are a very good matchup against Darius, at least then. And so, you know, I found myself banning Darius, and then I was like, screw it. You know what? No, I need to get better at playing against Darius. So I just welcomed it. I was like, all right, cool. They picked Darius. Yeah. And I would pick, instead of trying to counter pick or anything like that, I played the champ I'm most comfortable with, and I just went at them. And I realized, like, these are my power spikes. These are his power spikes. This is when I can't go against him. This is when I can. This is how I need to build. This is how I don't, you know. And I realized by adjusting my play style that now I never have a problem with the Darius. Like, he just, you know, it is what it is. And I don't really have a lot of problem with a lot of lane bullies if I'm playing my most comfortable champs. Even if it's not a good matchup for them, I just know my champ so well that it doesn't bother me. I know how I have to play it. So, you know, if you know those poke champs, then just learn how to play that matchup and just keep playing it and keep playing it. And you're going to die a lot. You're going to lose a lot of games, but you'll get there and you'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Also, remember that when you're going against each individual matchup, they're specifically that. They're an individual matchup, and sometimes the way that you do things, you know, you said Xerath, Vel'Koz, Victor. Well, there's a saying with Lux, like Lux players just know this. You do not throw your Q and your E at the exact same time. You just don't. Except when you're playing against Zed. So, like, those are times where, like, yes, rules will be broken for exceptions, and learning that maybe you don't always throw E and Q at the exact same time, because if you throw your E and then you miss your Q, being a Xerath player, you know that if you miss your stun, you're probably going to miss your Q as well. Then, you know, you're not going to do that. However, in specific opportunities like LeBlanc, for example, you see her coming in for a distortion. That is the perfect time to blow EQ at the exact same time, because you know that she's coming from a specific way, and you can time it properly, and eventually you'll get down to that. My point is, don't be afraid to break habits that you've become accustomed to with your champions as well, because as an experienced player, I'm sure that you have some, and you will probably need to break some of them because they're not right in those situations. You just cannot play that specific way in that specific situation, and you need to fix it.
I completely agree with Asterisk, and my one little tip, it's not always easy to get this to work, but if you know anyone out there that, like, let's say who's like a plat or higher level, because you mentioned that you were plat last season, like, who plays Zed or LeBlanc on a regular basis, like, if you maybe like add them and then just say, hey, can I like practice a custom with you or something, and like ask for feedback, like, why are you struggling in the matchup, like, what could you be doing better, like, make it something that you regularly practice, and then you realize, okay, you know, when Zed's Shadow's on cooldown, I can harass here. I wasn't doing that before. You know, X, Y, and Z, just like Asderishan was saying. And, you know, the more you practice a matchup, the more you'll learn its intricacies. So if there's anyone you know that you can spar with, that's sometimes pretty helpful as well.
And you have to adapt. Oh my God, I can't emphasize this enough. And for newer players who want to become better, when you've reached that point where you're like, I feel like I'm experienced and I want to take that up a notch, adaptation is like the quintessential, fundamental, end-all, be-all. What can you work towards to be the best possible player? That is like the basis of your fundamental skill, and that is your ability to adapt. How well can you just on the fly change what you're doing? And that only comes with practice and diligence.
All right. Should we move on?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we got time for like one more.
Yeah. If we have only got time for one more, maybe we should do Big Froggies because he did win.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'll read this one because I'm already there. This is from Big Froggy, our winner for the goal submission. He said, I ended Silver 2 last season, and after 6-4 provisionals, I got placed in Bronze 1. I was bummed and made the mistake that because I was in bronze, it would be a joke. So I underestimated bronze/overestimated myself and got demoted to bronze too. But quickly learned my lesson, focused, and I'm rising back up. As for direct goals, I would like to make a comfortable gold placement. And he says, gotta get that underwhelming Victorious skin,
That's pretty awesome.
But as for a goal to improve myself, I'd like to be able to tell how I can improve. A couple of months ago, I believe you guys did a segment on the 4 stages of competence. I believe I'm somewhere in between unconscious incompetence and conscious incompetence. I know I'm doing something wrong, but I can't exactly pinpoint what it is. So my goal to self-improve is to better understand my own gameplay so I can improve my mistakes. It's kind of vague, but I think I need vague at this point. Anyways, thanks guys for all your hard work. I love listening to you all, and I look forward to this season.
I don't remember specifically bringing up the 4 stages thing.
I think we did once ways back.
Okay.
I think you specifically did.
Yeah, I think Howard, you did it.
Yeah,
Shit.
you're the nurse.
Yeah,
My
nerd.
bad. Well, anyways, we've talked about, we talked about this quite a bit in different ways. How to figure out what you need to do. If you're not doing it already, go back and watch your own games. But if you're really looking to get better, I think the best way to do it is to get another eyes on your play to really see, okay, this is what you're doing wrong. It's a lot easier when it's someone else saying it, looking on the outside. To start, coaching may not be a bad place to start, honestly, for you. Yeah. If you really want to find a way to improve, they can really help you. Yeah. Depending where you go, find a place to start and really work towards your goals that they identify.
Yeah, I completely agree that, if you're feeling lost, if you can find someone you trust that knows the game pretty well, they can, look at your game and they can give you feedback. But I did want to jump to your point about, placements. We've said this before, but at the start of a new season, especially this season, a lot of people get placed way lower than where they were previously. And when you only have so many games, it's kind of a weird system. I've seen people that were plat last season that were placed in silver. So the divisions are still kind of in a foggy spot at the beginning of the season. I know we're rolling into, March now. And now that it's March, things are starting to level out a bit more, but even still, a lot of the divisions are kind of wonky. So don't worry too much about where you are right now and what LP you have and what division you're at. Focus on, okay, how much CS did I have at 10 minutes? How many times did I die this game? Why did I die? How could I have avoided dying? What could I have done differently in that team fight? That's how you're going to climb.
I would also highly recommend, if you're looking for somewhere to start, as far as I just don't know where I'm fucking up and where to focus on, try new champions. Just oftentimes maybe the problem is you just need a fresh outlook, and you want something new from the game itself. And I mean that. Sometimes you just get tired of playing the same old shit and you start to slack off, and boom, there you go. You start losing games because of it. It happens all the time. We get burned out on people, so you got to try new crap. So I would recommend trying new champions as well.
Yeah, from personal experience, I recently kind of decided, a lot of people play Rek'Sai. She seems pretty strong. I'm going to try playing her. And I tend to not play super mechanically advanced champs. And she has kind of some weird, mechanics. And I was like, I'm going to try her. And honestly, I love her. I've been doing very well with her. And, I have some of my best games, best win streaks, and best KDAs on this champ already. And I think her mechanics just kind of clicked with me. A lot of people don't the tremor sense mechanic or things like that don't necessarily click with them. It did with me for some reason. So, just like Ezrashan said, just reach out and start trying champs on free week and see what you run into.
And you bring up a good point specifically, Doom. I'm sure like you may have tried Rek'Sai beforehand and maybe felt like she wasn't really your character. But as you began to grow as a player and got more familiar with her as a champion, how she interacts, seeing what she did in the LCS, yada yada yada, you had a better understanding of the character coming into it 4 months, 6 months down the line, and now you're playing this champion that you have just a better understanding for. It's a whole different ballgame. I mean, it happened with me with Lux, and I just fell in love. So, I mean, and the same thing could happen with you, and that may be, like, what your sticking shit is, where you can't figure out what's going on.
So. Absolutely.
Totes malotes. But I think that is going to do it for this evening's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
For a whole year.
1 year.
A year. Thank you, people.
Oh, man.
Here's to another year stuck with you, fucks.
I think I have alcohol. I can actually cheers with you guys.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Cheers.
Oh, cheers. It's Fireball
Cheers, guys.
whiskey.
Cheers.
Good shit. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Everyone have a wonderful week, and we'll see your asses next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.